Okay, hello. So in our final week here, I want to do a quick video on interview etiquette. And I am sure a lot of you have excellent interview etiquette, so maybe there will just be some additional info that could be helpful. Maybe some of it's new, maybe all of it's review. So take what you will, leave the rest. The first thing, let's chat about Zoom or video interviews because those are so common at this point. Some obviously off the top things to consider: double checking your video and audio are good to go ahead of the interview. Make sure that laptop or whatever device is charged up and good to go. Ideally finding a place where it's quiet or not distracting. Throw on one of those virtual backgrounds or blurred backgrounds if you need it, or maybe you've got something behind you that feels unique or professional, or some combo. Obviously that is welcome. I would say, use your best judgment, phone a friend if you need help with any of that. And if there are questions you don't want to think about it, you can just do a virtual something or other. Eye contact. So this is an interesting one in this very virtual world. So we know, like, we'll look at the screen and there's people down here, but that when we look into the camera, that's where, folks might perceive we're making more eye contact. I would honestly recommend, like, do what feels comfortable. And you can practice that, and you can practice with a group mate or a friend or a group of friends or group mates, and just play with, okay, I'm looking directly into the camera. Now I'm kind of looking at the screen. One feels more comfortable. How's it land for you? You can, do a little like A/B testing on it. And ultimately it really is about your comfort and what feels good to you. I know for some folks, not turning the video off, but making it so they can't see their own video, it can be really helpful. That's distracting for some folks. So just know there are some options here where, you can find best practices that allow you to be the most present and most confident in the conversation. Of course, like, eyes going back and forth is not a big deal. It's super natural, even in a conversation, right? And obviously you've seen my videos. I'm doing it all the time. I'm thinking, I'm looking around, I'm looking at my notes, and I'm making eye contact. So you can record yourself, you can, do it with someone. I think just getting that feedback, so if you do have questions, that can help settle them, and help you adjust too, if need be. Big things I would mention, because I've had this experience of folks who maybe have multiple screens, and so they're looking like this, and the engagement with the camera is like side of face. Do not recommend. That is a really bizarre experience. So make sure camera comes to face, and do whatever you need to support yourself around that. I think for all parts of the interview, just knowing a lot of companies have worked on different accessibility things for neurodivergence or many other things. There's more support. Could be increasing length of time of interview, could be things like video or whatever else. So if there are things you need, don't be afraid to ask for that support. I know historically it's been fear producing for some folks, and not all companies or industries might be caught up with our vast set of needs that each of us have. And I do think there are more companies being more proactive about this. And so ultimately you want to land somewhere that can support who you are and how you show up to do your best work and the needs you have around that. So, I'd say don't be afraid to bring that forward, so that you can support yourself both in the interview and beyond, right, of the job. So, okay. And there are going to be way more resources available in groups and organizations that support on specific needs and things like that. So Google, check them out, get that support if you want something beyond the very tiny bit I just said. Okay, so some kind of easy ones, and so this can be beyond Zoom, obviously, for our in-person stuff. Attire, I recommend, slightly elevated from your day-to-day look, depending on your day-to-day look. If you're like me, you're pretty into athleisure attire. I don't recommend yoga pants at an interview on Zoom. Sure, maybe like a little bit more of a professional top, and then whatever you got going on the bottom is cool. Sometimes that can get weird. So I would just say be comfortable and professional. Ideally, just in case you got to jump up and, if you got party shorts on or something, might not be as taken as well as, like a dark pair of jeans. I don't know. Honestly, use your judgment, of course. But professional attire, I'll say, I know a lot of folks are in tech or targeting tech. It's a much more casual environment. So if you are coming from a more like finance or something more professional, I would not recommend showing up in like a suit or, a full-on formalish style dress or pantsuit or whatever, to a tech interview, because it's just not the vibe. Now here's the thing. You can ask your recruiter, like, hey, I'm super excited for the interview and I'd just love a sense of like what best attire might be, or you can Google it or use Reddit or different forums or the group, right, to get support around that. So yeah, just looking like, hey, you're coming to work, you're a professional, we're gonna be professionals together, and that has so many different interpretations. So I know that generalization may not be helpful. And it varies by industry, and there's a lot of variables here. So I'm trying to give a little bit of guidance while also owning that this guidance may not be relevant across the board. And yeah, so hopefully something lands, and if not, know that there are more resources out there, and forgive me for whatever is not landing here. Okay, and so going into the interview part of the preparation process, research your interviewers. Most recruiters are going to tell you who they are. Do your research, get a sense of who these folks are, what they do at the company, how your role relates to it, and then create really great questions to engage them, to show interest, to show you're thinking about what would happen if you were already in the role. You're thinking about how to make their life easier by way of the role that you'll have. So that stuff is really, really valuable and makes you stand out above a lot of other folks who are interviewing. So having great questions is super valuable, just like preparing great stories is. Okay, the last piece, and one of my favorite parts, and I think one of the more important parts to this process, and this is, for Zoom, in person, phone call, any verbal format at least, is practicing preemptive humility. So that could be something like, I tend to speed up when I'm talking when I'm nervous or excited, and I just want to, first of all, name that now, and then also invite you to ask me to slow down if that starts to happen and I haven't caught myself. I really want to make sure, you're hearing what I'm saying or understanding what I'm saying. And so I welcome that. It could be something like, I have an accent, or I have a stutter, or, whatever language is not my first language and I don't always know the exact words. And so I just invite you to get clarification if I say a word that maybe didn't make sense in the context, or if, you couldn't understand something I said. Just we're inviting the space for folks to be able to understand us, and it gives them permission to get the information that they need, which is super valuable to both you and them. And it also gives you the space to allow yourself to fully show up, knowing that you've got an ally who's interested in your success and has the invitation to slow you down or ask for clarification. And so hopefully that brings some ease to you as well in the process of knowing, like, I don't know all the exact words all of the time for whatever reason. And like, there's somebody on the other side who is going to understand because I've already told them. So, right, we're just bringing in some space here. And that could also apply to, volume. Maybe I'm a kind of a soft speaker talker. So, if you need me to turn up the volume a bit, let me know. Okay, I think those are probably enough examples. And yeah, hopefully this supports you going into whatever round of interviews you're going into. And like I said, take what works and leave the rest, or do more research and get more exact information to fill in anything I missed here. All right, best of luck.